do you want to start this thing, man?
Man, I'm Hase.
I'm Fletch.
Yeah, we're here. We're buddies.
Yeah, but what do we know, right?
What do we know?
We're going to find that out.
Well, what do we know? And that's the concept behind this.
We had this epiphany a few months ago, probably. We'd done an episode of another podcast together, and we had some really interesting discussion about daily routines, things that we're doing to try to increase our longevity, the likelihood of maybe living another chapter of our lives, perhaps.
Yeah, totally.
And that was a great discussion. So that kind of prompted this little get-together.
Well, what we realized was that somebody along the way said we were old.
Yes.
And you and I both kind of looked at each other and said, well, I don't feel old. And I'm doing things that I enjoy, and life is still... But then you kind of look around, and it's like, wow, society's decided we're old.
Do you, and there's a difference in my mind between getting older, which is the inevitable chronology, if that's a word.
Yeah, it's close enough.
It's close to a word.
Well,
that inevitability, right? Or actually being old, which I think are two different things.
Yeah.
We're obviously getting older, but do you feel old?
Not at all. Not at all. And yet, I see people our age, so we're both, you're what, 64?
I will be 65, this fall.
Okay, so yeah, I'm 64. The old Beatles song, When I'm 64.
Right.
But, I just think you get slotted and you get pushed into this, well, it's time for you to retire.
Right.
And I think, well, why?
There are expectations of you at this age.
I feel good. Life is great. But then all of a sudden, this little thing starts creeping in. And the more people I talk to about it, since you and I visited, was like, yeah, I agree with you. In fact, I feel like this next 30, 40 years are going to be the best of my life. But, are you thinking about retiring? Gets whispered in there, and slow down or speak louder,
right? But you love what you do, right?
I love what I do.
I love what I do as well. Yeah. So retirement, and we'll talk about that in more detail. Yeah. But I can the other day I was traveling this week for work. I was down in Dallas. Mm-hmm. I'm coming back through TSA on the way back to Omaha, and if take your shoes off, put them in the bin. There's a younger guy behind me, same situation. We're on the other side of the X-ray machine, and we're putting our shoes back on, and he's standing there on one foot balancing, puts his shoes on, and I'm like kind of falling over, teetering, trying to get my shoes on, And I look at him and say, man, you got really good balance, buddy. And he looks at me and goes, well, you're old and I'm young. And I was like, God damn it, Did
you just throw down with him?
No, I probably would have kicked my ass, but those are the moments for me that unfortunately remind me that maybe I am old. Like, when the old gray-haired guy holds the door for you and says, let me get that for you, sir.
Yeah.
Does that ever happen to you?
It happens a lot with younger people, and I think out of respect, I think that's great. But on the other hand, you say, look, I'm not slotted yet. I don't want to be slotted yet. I refuse. I'm fighting this. And what we're going to talk about on this show is just that whole thing. Somebody along the way decided that you are just an age and therefore you're too old. But I think longevity itself is one of those things where we all have sort of one eye on death and the other eye on, okay, I'm going to live. But there's this tug of war.
There is.
And there's reminders. And it's one of those things where you think, maybe I should just live it day to day. I'm going to do what I can.
Yeah.
And not be kicking and screaming into retirement and death. It's like, well, I'm just going to live. And the best thing that could happen is then just one day, boom, it happens.
Yes, I think that's all probably what we're hoping
and so
for.
We're going to talk about, how do you do that? What do we know? I mean, that's kind of the subtext to this whole thing. But you and I have both experimented with tons of different things.
Right.
And just ways to make our lives better.
Right.
And we want to share that with our listeners and viewers.
Yeah.
And boy, it's going to range from having great guests on this show.
I agree.
Who are just slightly smarter than us combined.
Right.
We're gonna
aggregate IQ, right?
IQs.
Yeah,
what are we? We're public school guys, right?
Yes, we are.
And we're going to have people come on and talk about a lot of different topics that are related to this aging and longevity and stuff that really matters to those of us in our 60s and
who
beyond.
are confronted with that right now. It is in our face. And
you look around and you go to your doctor, and your doctor says, well, I'll see you in a year, and, make sure you take a Flintstones vitamin and things will be good. And you think, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah, no doubt.
We're going to talk about nutrition and supplements and exercise and travel, and then just general observations about life and fun.
Totally.
And laughing.
And as we had discussed, there is so much information out there available about this. Yeah. You and I are both consumers of information. I seek out information, but it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
I get into some podcasts and some other information sources, and a lot of it's over my head, to be quite honest.
Yep.
You're listening to the Hubermans or the Atiyahs or these people that are brilliant. They think about this stuff, and I get about every fifth word. So we thought it might be interesting if we could just anecdotally share what we've experienced and what we're doing. And, maybe I can't tell you, the thermogenesis behind a cold plunge.
Right.
But I can tell you how I feel after I get out of the cold plunge or something like that.
That's a great point. And we'll have stuff in the notes of the show. Well, we're not sponsored by anybody
yet. Right. Yes.
But it's one of those things where these are products we've tried. These are regimens we've tried. Here's stuff that just seems to work for us.
I completely agree.
And things that have been complete failures.
Yeah. And if you're looking at the show thinking it's been a complete failure for both of you,
right?
This may not be for you.
This may not be for you.
Right. These two losers, I can't learn anything from them.
Because we failed a lot.
That being said, I think there is a community of our peer groups, and this kind of transcends gender to some degree, probably race, color, creed. I mean, we're just guys that are, we're in that third chapter of our lives, and how do you make that the best that you can?
Yeah, exactly.
I completely agree with you, though. I believe this is going to be the best chapter of my life. There were certainly great things that happened in, the first third and definitely the second third, but now there's no reason that this last third of our lives, if that's what it's to be, can't be exceptional.
We've seen so many examples of people that when they hit this age, they begin to deteriorate. And there was, along the way, they said, look, when you get to be mid-60s, you're essentially done. Social Security decided. Lots of big companies said mandatory retirement. And so it gets fixed into your head. But I think what you and I have experienced is, wow, I feel better. I'm going to be better. Positive outlook, high energy, enthusiasm to continue to learn.
That's a big part of it. Yeah.
The resources that are available. I mean, all of these things, all we want to try and do is share that with the world in a way that is two chuckleheads from Omaha that are going to just share our experiences and our what works for us and what might not work.
Right. And we'd love to. I hope we get to the point in this program that we can hear from the listeners. We can get feedback and input from them, subject matter they might find interesting or want to discuss. I know you are. I'm willing to experiment a little bit along the way. Just try a few things that, I did this for 30 days and here's what happened kind of a thing.
Case in point, last time we talked, you said something I've never even knew about, but that you hang from a bar.
Mm-hmm.
Not hang, but you hang with your...
right. I've been hung from bars before. But yes.
And at bars.
I'm going right after this to go hang, in fact.
And I thought, well, now, wait a sec. I've never even had heard of that.
Have you started to do that?
And so I first went like you do, and I was like, all right, let me look some stuff up here. And I found some videos, I found a couple articles, and I found a couple of exercise physiologists who said, there's not a bunch of science around it, but it's something that's really makes a lot of sense for your spine, for your shoulders, but grip strength. And what you had said was grip strength indicates something about longevity.
Right. That's what I've been told. Yeah.
I thought, okay, well, let's try that.
Yeah.
And, I've had this neck pain, which I think a lot of us have because we've done this for 40 some years.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so it's about getting the neck back and the posture.
Yeah.
And so hanging from a bar has helped that.
Has it?
Yeah. I've only been doing it for what's it been, 2 weeks?
Maybe 2-3 weeks, yeah.
But I noticed, you got a little bit better strength in the upper shoulders. And again, then it goes back to, all right, how do you carry yourself during the day? How do you sit during the day? How do you talk during the day? And can you lead to one thing that you do in the morning or afternoon that helps benefit that? It all fits into this big, mushy puzzle.
That's it.
But when you're willing to try something like that, I think it just enhances your brain as well, because now you got to think different. Well, all I do is I run for 30 minutes and I do this and that. Well, let's mix things up a little bit.
Absolutely, without question.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. And we want to share stuff like that. We may even demonstrate some of that.
Prepare yourselves.
Yeah, prepare yourselves. Be ready.
Yeah, we're going to the gym, Dylan. No, I think that's the whole point.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a fun conversation.
It is. Yeah.
We've kind of reconnected recently. Yeah. We grew up, went to high school together, and then obviously went our separate ways for quite a long time, and we reconnected about a year or so ago. Yeah. And I've just enjoyed the conversation so much, man.
It's been great. It's been awesome.
And I know we're kind of like-minded in this respect, so I think it would be interesting to share what we've done along the way and what we're hoping to do going forward. And,
so Fletch, for those that don't know, I mean, this guy was a stud football player, and he was the guy that pioneered weight training before weight training was truly a thing. And
well, back when we went to school, that we didn't have a weight room.
There was no weight room. Yeah, and I was a skinny, wimpy swimmer
right.
who did no weight training.
But just got all the girls.
But no.
The swimmers at West Side High School were notorious.
And so we were from two different planets, and yet, I think approached fitness, ironically, in kind of the same way.
And we've kind of come full circle, and we are back at the same point.
Same point.
That is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And I need you to help me with, and we'll get into nutrition going forward. That'll certainly be a lot of our focus, talking about diet, exercise, those kind of things. Yeah. But I'm struggling right now
with
calorie consumption.
Really? Like too much? Or?
Too much, way too much. Yeah. We need to work on that. Yeah, so we've got a few things that we can work on going forward as well.
Well, 3 years ago, I may have shared this with you before, but I saw a picture of myself on vacation, and I was pretty doughy, pretty pasty and doughy, and I thought, what has happened here? I worked out all the time. I was very disciplined about it. I thought I was eating the right stuff, but I was 205, and for me, that was kind of chunky. And I said, okay, let's take a step back here. I mean, what do you want out of this? This goes to the whole, if I'm going to be able to run around with my grandkids, still be able to be physically active when I'm 95, what do I have to do today to start that? And realizing it's not an overnight thing. And I went to research. Oh my God. Keto, you got to fast, you got to do lemonade diet, you can only eat watermelon, you can do this. It's like, God, this just doesn't sound like a great life to me.
Right.
So how do you truly do this? And for me, this doesn't work for everybody. It was just, I need to set a goal, and it was 3 years out, and I wanted to be 172 pounds because that's what I was my senior year of high school.
Is that right?
Yeah. I thought, okay, let's see if we can do this. And it was all about, yes, being active, and yes, the right supplements, the right stretching, the right everything. But it was limiting the caloric intake to like 2,000 calories and no sugar.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that, won't we?
Almost impossible. Anyway,
that's incredibly difficult,
I learned
but it's worked.
Well, so
has it not?
Yeah.
I mean, what did you weigh this morning?
172.
Oh my God, good for you, man.
But
that's amazing.
I didn't lose weight for 3 months the first time when I started. And I thought, well, this is stupid. And I was on my Fitness Pal, and I'm tracking all these things, and I'm weighing out the chicken breast.
That's the life that we all look forward to.
I just want the red box of Captain Crunch. That's all I want right now.
That's an episode. Favorite cereals from your childhood.
Totally. Yeah,
I loved Captain Crunch.
The roof of your mouth off, but
man.
But still, you just start to monitor that, and we all can do that. But it just takes discipline, which then goes to, do I have discipline? And
right.
And there is no quick fix. But anyway, then I lost like a pound and then another pound and just kind of started to ratchet down.
Yeah.
And maintain it. But that's the hard thing. I empathize with you. Yeah.
But you touched on something that I think will be the focal point of this entire lengthy conversation that we're hoping to have is, why is longevity important to you? What are you looking for
so true.
In that third chapter? But you mentioned grandchildren. You mentioned being active. I've heard people say, I want to travel in that period where now maybe I can actually afford to do those kind of things, hopefully. Totally. Why is this important? I think that plays into the whole discipline piece.
Yeah, it really does.
How you get yourself into that mindset. Yeah. So that's what we're looking forward to.
That's what we're going to do.
I think these conversations, I'm really looking forward to this. I have to be honest, man. When we first even just started floating this idea, I thought, all of our peers were all confronted with this same issue, these same challenges. Yeah. So we've got a lot of ideas for guests. We've got a lot of ideas for topics.
Totally. Yeah,
I think it's endless.
We're going to flip the dialogue a little bit. Instead of surrendering, we're going to attack.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, can I take a nap first before we storm the castle?
Before we attack. Yeah.
I love
so
it, man.
it's and we'll have, observations about life, because I just think there's some things that are just hysterical.
Yeah.
That I know we're all thinking about. And at our age, little things that become big things.
Yes.
Like, who's the cellophane guy in the whole world? Everything has cellophane around it now. What is that all about?
I don't know, but it's probably not.
There's one cellophane guy, and you try and open those things, and
they can't be opened. Peel the top off the cellophane.
Like, where's the little dotted line to break it open?
Those are on my pills now. That's even when you get to be our age, and now you have to take some pills, and they've got the cellophane.
Yeah, totally.
Can't get into my pill containers. Yeah. It is, man.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's fun. We'll have a good time, and we're really looking forward to sharing a lot of this with all of you.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. It'll be a great ride. If nothing else, you and I will learn something from it.
We will.
All right, brother.
Okay, man.
He's Hase. I'm Fletch.
That's right.
But what do we know, right?
Well, what do we know?
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Looking forward to it. Have a great weekend, everybody.